right, take them in.
Yo, what's good, y'all? We wanted to do a live, man. We was sharing gems a little earlier this morning. We was like, you know what? We just gonna drop a live on everybody to keep everybody abreast of what's happening. So, as you guys know, the financial system is collapsing. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring y'all some information that's probably super pertinent, and it's gonna affect everybody on this call. So, anybody listening, what I mean, you guys can interact with thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever, and we'll figure out this chat situation on another time. But one thing I wanted to bring to you guys' attention, first things first, is we've mentioned multiple times that you guys are going to start having trouble to be able to make purchases, right? When this thing is about to start kicking off. So today I came across some info on Uphold. They're actually limiting people's ability to be able to purchase crypto on Uphold. So every exchange has purchase limits, no matter what type of payment method you're utilizing. If you're using debit, it's $500 a day, $5,000 a week, and if you're doing credit, the same. It's I think it's up to like 25,000 a month, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys can check that out on your own. But not to get into the nuances, whenever you're trying to make a purchase right now, it's limiting people at the amount of $350 or less. So we already told you guys this was going to happen. We may mention it this multiple times. Steve always drives this point home. It's happening now. And if you guys notice, everything that's been happening, bank collapses, now this, and there's even more things that's about to start happening. We're about to start getting blackouts. We'll get into that in a second. But what's today? Friday. Come on, man. Steve brought this crazy point home. It's like, yo, this TGIF. Nah, we got to put a strike through that. Because now every time there's an overnight situation or there's something that's about to happen, it always happens on Friday. So guys, you have to start paying attention to what's going on because it's going to affect you. The overnight situation could be literally overnight, right? When you go from 11:59 p.m. into 12 a.m., that's considered overnight. But in the banking industry and in the financial sector, overnight is Friday, close of business, Monday, open of business. That's overnight. So right now, you guys are starting to see we're having issues with crypto friendly banks. And most of those banks that collapsed were all crypto friendly. So now you're having exchanges begin to limit the amount of crypto you're able to purchase. And your reserves of certain assets on different exchanges minimized as well. So now they're not only cutting you off from being able to purchase in certain amounts, they're also limiting the amount of assets they have on these exchanges. So now the reserve amount has depleted or has been depleted. So now you guys not even have the access to be able to purchase certain coins because they don't have them. It's starting to run low on exchanges. So they're literally beginning to shut down retail, and you guys are being shut out. So we've been telling you guys dollar cost average into the projects that have real world use case, solve real world problems. Those of you who listen, you did what you were supposed to do. You have a little war chest. You probably secured them, put them on cold storages. Those of you who haven't listened or who weren't abreast of this information, listen, time is of the essence. You have to start acting now. This is imperative.
So last week there was a suit that came down on Binance and Coinbase, which this time it wasn't from the SEC. So I just wanted to touch on this real quick, guys. The SEC lawsuit with Ripple is going to uncover so much fraud within that agency. Right, we're talking about this is stemming from the Trump administration on the way out is what created this Ripple lawsuit. So Gary Gensler is actually, I want to say April, was it April 14th? He's got a Senate hearing.
Hearing, yeah, yep, April 14th.
Right. So when you start to see the CFTC involving themselves in cryptocurrency, it's a good thing, guys, because that's going to be the agency that's going to oversee cryptocurrency. Right. So this can't be coincidence in the timing of it. Right. The Ripple case is here. We're just all waiting on the judge to rule on on the case, right? but they're going to need to give us something to distract us from that, right? Because a win for Ripple is a win for crypto. A loss for Ripple is a loss for crypto. But even if the United States decided to not even move forward with crypto, which that's not the case, um, it it's going live tomorrow, right? All new systems, communication systems are going live tomorrow in the euro. So
Mm-hmm.
we're not concerned about what the U.S. is doing right now. You kind of see all the motion coming from China and Russia forming their alliances. All of Africa have been, as of late, speaking out against the U.S. dollar. So understand this, guys. When the petrodollar is no longer the world reserve currency, what's going to happen is all that fucking paper money that's overseas right now is going to pour back into this country, right? So they're going to hand it back over, and that's going to cause a lot of chaos because there's no more demand for it at that point. This is what is we call the tipping point.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this is a black swan event for our economy. Maybe not so much for crypto, right? I still think there is a war against the stable coin. And then there's going to be the war of regulation, which then is going to collapse 99% of projects. So every project that you're involved with right now that you have a little bit or even big investments in, you have to ask yourself, is this a project that's going to last with regulations, meaning there's going to be a whole bunch of hurdles for people to jump through. They're going to have to be registered for the most part. They're going to have to spend a whole lot of money. But again, the SEC is ruling with enforcement, right? Not too many people can, and I hear a lot of the Bitcoin maxis and all these things. You guys are just lucky that there's no official owner to Bitcoin, right? Because that would have been the first joint hit. Regardless of if you think it's a security, if you think it does, it's not, whatever the clear definitions is, all that doesn't matter to the SEC, right? It's just a matter of you just pay the fine and you call it a day, right? Because that's all it is. There's no jail time behind this sort of stuff. They're just really raising capital. So another thing that happened today is the United States government is selling a whole lot of Bitcoin right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now you have to ask yourself, why are they selling so much Bitcoin today, right? And this is coming from Mt. Gox. So that means that this wasn't Bitcoin that belonged to the United States government. This was just confiscated during and we've talked about this extensively before on prior dot connects and things like that. Champ, it broke down that story well, but it's a matter of just really looking at what's happening in the news cycle right now versus kind of where we're going. So today I got a call from my mechanic. I'm actually doing work on a vehicle, and he's like, "Steve, listen, systems are down." This is actually, Champ. Since we got off the phone, he's the second. He's the first, but I had another one come about. So meaning we can't transact. I can't do any credit card transactions. So what do you tell me? He's like, Steve, the only thing you could do is wait for the system to come up and then come get your car, but they don't know when, or I have to bring in cash. So if anybody can go to our Instagram pages, you'll see a photo I put up this morning of fiat US dollar burning. I also have my cold storage in the photo. I have an ounce of gold in the photo, and I have a silver ounce of silver, and I also have a gold back from Nevada, just kind of showing you. And I have my cold storage ledger, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
showing you the old regime burning and then the new regime and what to do. So if I didn't have any cash on me right now, which I've been pulling out cash from banks for months, just to get things moving around, and not only just pulling out, not to hold it, I've been buying assets and not putting any sort of money in the banks. So there's this misconception of, oh well, if I have less than 250,000, then there's no problem. They'll come in. Guys, you have to understand. Janet Yellen was just on, just I want to say earlier this week or last week during the bank crisis, where they said these community banks, they're not safe. These regional banks, they're not safe. They only have the bailout for the big banks. So when you watch with J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, well, this was orchestrated by J.P. Morgan. Was it Republic Bank that they all bailed out?
Yeah. Yep.
So unprecedented. Banks bailed out bank, right? And the reason that they said they did it was to not create a contagion, meaning one following suit to the other. So I'm urging you guys, please do not run to your bank to pull out any sort of money, because this is exactly playing into the hands of these guys right now. They want the bank run to happen. What's going to end up happening in the United States is you're not going to have. I mean, just think about it, right? The other day I was driving, I'm like, wow, I was in New York City. There's so many banks. Every corner of Manhattan is a bank. And I'm telling myself, like, do we even really need all of this? In person transactions, no one's doing bank to bank teller moves anymore like that. So what's the need for all this real estate? So what's going to end up happening is you're going to have these bigger banks, the Chase, the Cities, the Bank of America. When we had the three bank collapses last week, the Saturday deposits into Bank of America was another one that shattered records, right? So everybody's moving away from smaller banks, feeling unsafe, even though everything's FDIC insured. But you guys have to understand, the FDIC is not a formal insurance backed by one to one. They don't even have 2% of all the holdings in the United States. You're telling me right now, all it really takes is for 3% of the population to go out and ask for their money back. What reserve you think they're going to tap into? Yes, they can print more money, but they're not in the business of saving small guys.
Mm-mm.
Silicon Valley Bank, come on, everybody at that bank had over $250,000 in there. That wasn't a let me pay my bill type of bank. That was a big boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oprah Winfrey, 600 million. Like people had wealth there, right? So in essence, that was an easy bailout for the government. Biden came on, not even 2 seconds after the collapse, was like, we are not bailing out any banks out of his own mouth. What they do, they bailed them out.
Build them out.
They
Mm-hmm.
printed more money, guys.
It's always the opposite.
Right. So this is just going to add on to inflation. But I can understand, you're between a rock. It doesn't matter what you do. It's all fucked up. But I'm telling you that what you have to pay attention to right now is the relationships that China and Russia are forming and what's about to happen. So within the next couple weeks, half of the world is going to come off this world reserve, this petrodollar. The petrodollar was something that was put into place to offer protection to countries as we pillaged, right? I'm going to call it what it is at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? There's always some sort of chaos that this country has created all around the world. They come through as humanitarians in the form of help, but what they do is they set up central banking systems, right? Pull resources, deplete that country's dollar, to a point where I was showing Champ today, like, listen, they're making origami out of currency from around the world. It's not worth anything.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the same thing here. So if anybody has any paper folding skills, start doing it with that dollar that you got sitting around right now. So it's either you're going to get in with this gold and silver or find ways to hedge or reinvest in your business, understand how crypto works, right? So this is what Nigeria is doing right now. The whole country's on fire, right? So what they did was they released the CBDC
Mm-hmm.
without any warning, and it spooked the people. And this is what you can't do. So one of the things I mentioned to Champ, a couple of weeks ago, I was kind of thinking about all this, and I'm like, there's nothing. The United States is very smart at the way that they roll out things, right? Because you as a government, you never want to run up on somebody and surprise them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially a nation of people. Sorry, a nation of people who outnumber government. So telling Champ, I'm like, CBDC, this programmable money situation, we kind of grew up on that. People that came from you know, messed up circumstances in life where we had to get on WIC. That's nothing more than programmable money. Because what did WIC do? When you went down to the store with the money, or I guess they have a card now, you're
Mm-hmm.
able to only buy certain things. You understand? It told you where you could shop, what you can buy, how much you can buy.
Yep.
So let's not act like all of this is new to us. Then the next thing I'm hearing, coming from Herman's situation, the sentiment was, oh, yeah, I don't want these central bank digital currencies. I don't want the government tracking me. And I'm like, who the fuck is getting receipts nowadays? Right? Ever since the implementation of a debit card, you swipe, it's tracked. You know what I'm saying? It really just a cash transaction is the one thing where you can go hand to hand. Oh, I don't need a receipt, and then just be out. You could even walk into businesses now that'll tell you, listen, if you like my dealer, um, Steve, you come in with cash, I could do the transaction. I could also avoid taxes with cash. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm just telling you that there have been businesses in the past that say, well, if you give me cash, that's unreported at that time. But if you pay me with debit, I have to charge you 3.5%. Do you not, you're starting to see that advertised a whole lot now. Like, why are they charging us so much to apply a debit charge? It
Mm-hmm.
was never like that before. It doesn't matter if you use a debit or a credit card. Credit card there was always a fee on top of it, right? It always costs more money to send via, on that network. But when you start using debit, it's almost a peer-to-peer transaction. So now all of a sudden everybody's charging 3.5%, right? So this is the conditioning that they put in our way to say, hey, listen, when this new system comes in place, it's like, listen, if I just want to buy an item for $1.10, I shouldn't have to have a $9 or $10 minimum. This is another thing that you're starting to see now when you go to stores. You're starting to see minimums.
Mm-hmm.
right? But when you're in crypto world, we work in fractions. Like, bro, I just want this for $1. I want to be able to pay with it how I want to pay with it without being charged $1.50,
Mm-hmm.
or you forcing me to buy more than I need to buy. So again, problem, and then their solution is going to be Fed Now, which launches in July, which is nothing more than a glorified cryptocurrency, guys. They're just kind of fooling you with that shit. The white boys say tomfoolery. They got this weird language and humor to
Yeah,
their wickedness. You know what I'm saying? But listen, keep your eyes open, guys. I'm telling you, this shit's about to get ugly. Banks closing. What? How much more hours we got here on the East Coast?
hour and 20 minutes.
I'd say by 6 o'clock, guys, we gonna end up seeing some type of flashbang today,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. And that's Champ that called that out last night, and then we got it off to the group. So that's the good thing about being part of a community is, listen, we've been telling our community this. We launched a year and a half ago, um, but Champ and I have been doing this for a long time. We've been saying this day was going to come. But for anybody that's been around us for a year and a half, we've called every single occurrence that's happening right now in cryptocurrency to the T, exactly the way that it's supposed to happen. So when you see the CFTC starting to bring people in, ball game, guys, it's go time, right?
Fact.
And as I watch how things are unfolding right now, Ripple has to win this case. They have to win the case.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But they have to create a whole nother issue. So next week, April 4th, mark your calendar on this. They're going to start giving us more distractions. Uh, Trump, they already say he's going to be indicted. They're going to pick him up on the 4th.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You understand? And that's just more shit for us to kind of, they just want to control that news cycle and get your mind off of certain things that are happening, right in front of our faces. So, this ain't good. This
At
ain't good. And like I said, I'm just giving you guys a warning. If you're at a small regional bank, you may want to move your holdings to a larger bank. And I hate to say, go to Bank of America, but strong balance sheet over there. You know what I'm saying? They're not the guys to burn, because if Bank of America shuts down, or even Chase, we're all doomed. You know what I'm
mm-hmm.
saying? So what you're about to witness is a lot of big banks taking over little bank, right? Because these small banks, and I've tried to bank black before, they just don't have the product line that I need to be able to move money. So I don't want to be at a bank to have to use PayPal or some type of fintech to play intermediary.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I can't bank with black banks. I can't. They can't move the money fast enough for me. So with that said, the government will have less control. Well, they'll have more control in place because they'll be dealing with the usual suspects, right? So instead of dealing with tens of thousands of banks, there's no other country you can go to that has this many banks in their system. You know what I'm saying? There's no other country that you can go to that has this many banks that the United States has, that has this much red tape and bureaucracy that you have to go through. So once you start to see the bigger banks taking over the regional banks, once they start to implement and they flip the switch, it'll all be under that branch, under that arm. And I'm not saying that they're going to change the names to Chase or Bank of America. They may stay the same, just the holding company would be completely different.
Right.
These guys aren't doing anybody a favor in life. If somebody bails you out, just know that you owe them something later. So, guys, if you keep thinking that this is not about cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency is not going to usher us into this new quantum financial system, then you're sadly mistaken. Because what do? You keep printing more money. They are about to ship money back to the United States like it's nobody's business right now. Nations, right? They no longer need the protection anymore. The protection is going to come from China and Russia.
Russia. Mm-hmm.
That's the protection. So once Saudi broke that pact and dropped that petrodollar, because that was the first pact that set off everything. That was the oil. That was the leverage that the United States had over the world. It's the number one exporter of oil is Saudi Arabia. Once you
Maybe.
had the petrodollar attached to that, once it breaks, that's it. That's it. These guys are not. They're not taking the United States serious at all. And there's nothing we can do. We cannot go to war with the entire world.
Mm-mm.
Period.
We can't. Yeah, it's getting super interesting, man. And just to piggyback off what Steve said, that power move by Saudi Arabia, that was it. The dollar is officially dead, officially counted goodbye. And then there's a partnership with Kenya. I told you guys on Dot Connect. I think it was episode 2028, the one we just had. President Rudo just said he declared it. If anybody has excess holdings of US dollars, prepare for a decline in the upcoming weeks. The reason is they made a partnership with China and Saudi Arabia to be able to transact their their um their oil in Chinese yuan, you know what I mean, and in shillings. So they're just completely sidestepping its interest
Okay.
for that particular reason. So it's like you guys just have to see things for what they are.
Oh, you
What it
mistaken?
means is it's not going to be valued what it has been in the past. Those days are over. There's reserves that each country had. So just so everybody understands, you had to transact oil in different energy in United States dollars. You had to. That was the agreement. That was the pact that was known globally. Once Russia sidestepped it, they got tired of sanctions. They went outside of it. Now you had China join the party. They just formed a strategic partnership. Those guys just shook hands and they just said, listen, there's about to be a change that's about to impact the globe like we've never seen before. You guys can research, you guys can find that video. They literally had this conversation and that was the soundbite. Then they just put out this news that Saudi Arabia is now part of the pact. And they're telling you bit by bit, piece by piece, government by government, country and continent by continent. They're telling you we're sidestepping the dollar. We do not care what they're talking about over there. This is what we're doing over here. And that's BRICS and BRICS Plus. So these nations are not playing. They're not playing fair. They already have the United States in a chokehold. But listen, that's why this is so important. These talks are super, super vital because as you start to see these countries are moving away from the dollar, what's going to happen to the dollar? Is going to lose its position as the global reserve currency. So what else happens? The only thing that they could do here in the United States is print more money because all of these reserves is going to keep coming back in. They don't need them anymore. They're like, listen, take your reserves back, take your dollar back. We just want what's ours. And we're going to continue to transact and we're going to flourish and do what we need to do. Now you're not going to have one single global reserve currency. You're going to have a multitude. And I told you guys 31.5% of the global GDP is all now in BRICS Plus. Just this move, and there's projected growth that's going to come behind that as well. So just understand, guys, we're at that breaking point. We literally have crossed the threshold and you're about to start to see cyber attacks. That's another thing. These cyber attacks that's about to happen, nasty work. This is going to impact the financial system as we know it. I was just telling Steve earlier today that there's actually a bill that has passed through Congress right now, and it's also affected the U.S. debt clock. The last times I think Steve brought this up on one of the previous calls. When you look at the debt clock, usdebtclock.org, it no longer says the US dollar. It now says US Treasury dollars. So then I started thinking, why is the dollar no longer there? I knew something was wrong with this. Then I looked today. I found it. There's let me get the code for you guys so you guys can pull it up. So it's HR, and this is on the Congress.gov website. This is the House bill. It's H.R.6227. This is going to be the National Quantum Initiative Act. So this is going to take us into the quantum financial system. Listen, this is a deep dive of all deep dives, but this is basically going to tell you everything that we've been telling you guys for months. We're moving away from that debt-based system. We're no longer going to need the dollar. We're no longer going to need it to be quote unquote backed by anything because we already know the dollar's not backed by anything, right? So we're transitioning away from that. What are we going to? Everything is going to be digital dollar, CBDCs, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology. This is everything that we've been preparing you guys for. So just understand this is not a joke. This is not a game. It's happening now.
And listen, just to take you guys out, so we within our university Discord, we have a group called the 1% group. The onus of it is 99% of these projects are going to die. We've been running with that. That's the same sentiment that's the whole industry knows, right? There's just a bunch of projects that amount to nothing, that just have great white papers, and they're just utilizing people as exit liquidity. It's still down. China coins. Anytime a news cycle hits, these guys are able to create coins that could pump 2, 3, 4, 5,000%. This is the type of stuff that Sam Bankman and these kids were doing. Right when that case comes out, you'll start to see some of the projects that I know for sure I got rug pulled on, and not rug pulled because I'm naive. Rug pulled because as we know it, we know about exit liquidity. I'm just time, Champ and I were just really timing it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't. But that's the name of the game. So when you start to see crypto projects moving with the news cycle, like right now, it's everything is AI. Right. Last week was carbon credits. The week before that was the Chinese coins. Guys, just be easy with these new projects. They have no track record. So when you're part of the 1% group, we give you everything associated with what's going to live. And you guys have to understand. So the ISO is no secret, right? It's going live tomorrow in the Eurozone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it already happened last week, but there's another batch of migrations that happened today.
Okay, so I wouldn't follow my investment portfolio to just match that, because you have to understand there's other standards that need to be met, right? Because if you don't meet the ISO security standard, then it's just a project that's going to have breaches. And when you have blockchain projects that are about to come to market that are going to be for the masses, you can't have these type of breaches. Like we're talking about the losses we took. We're only talking about $1 trillion in this market right now.
Wow.
3.5 at its best. So when the real money starts to come in, they want to make sure that every single project is aligned correctly. Um, to make sure that all things are secure, because it's not just us. I keep telling you guys, this next run is not going to be a bull run of case use. In essence, meaning it doesn't really need end users, right? It's going to be a utility bull run, and all we need is the corporations, these Fortune 500 companies, the governments, right? These are the first guys to start to release their products on the blockchain. So the liquidity coming from like retail investors, that ain't even it. That's where the money's at.
Mm-hmm. Not yet.
You know, that's not where the money. Not yet. And we don't need that, because who's going to put the real money into these markets right now? The derivatives market. You know, the family banks, the pension funds, the pension managers, like you name it, guys. There's trillions of dollars right now waiting to just be poured into this market. Which you guys know what happens when these things hit a particular product. So let's just say Bitcoin. They're calling for Bitcoin to be 1 million. That guy that called that situation has called out a lot of things, and he's rarely wrong. And I'm not saying that they can't run that shit up to 1 million, but listen, if we get a surge of $10 trillion and it all went to Bitcoin, that number will run up
Run up. Yeah,
straight like that. It'll be 100%. It'll be no more in circulation at that point. You just buying when somebody's dumping.
that's a fact.
So I'm calling Bitcoin to 100 by Memorial Day, 100K. And I'm not even a Bitcoin guy. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? The projects that we're in, we're such ground level that, listen, 5x in Bitcoin right now is not appealing to me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Because I can give you coins right now with the same little dollar amount that you're gonna put inside of Bitcoin right now, $100. That's just some fractional shit. That ain't moving the scale. So we got coins that are doing 25% in 2 hours every day up and down. So I'm not impressed by a 5x Bitcoin. It is a huge number. Um, Fidelity just rolled out uh, their trading platform, so they have Bitcoin and ETH to start. The Nasdaq is
yeah,
is rolling out Q2, so where Q2 starts tomorrow, or right, the
yep.
first.
The first, yep.
So anywhere within the next couple months, the Nasdaq is is going to roll out its its tokenization.
Yep. Crypto
So
offerings.
listen, y'all ain't want to hear it from us. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? But everything's documented. You can go back to the YouTube. Everything's time, date, and stamped. This ain't no tin hat shit. And we were sounding real crazy about a year ago when we were saying all this. But now, the amount of people that are in my inbox, like, Steve, what do we have to do? First of all, it's getting too late, right? Champ just told you today, if I send you over to Uphold, what can you do with $300? And I'm not saying $300 is not a solid investment, but That's the sort of minimums they're putting on people. So even what these guys did was they propped up an industry, right? They let people have fun with it, all while they knew that these guys, one, didn't have any political power,
Mm-hmm.
right? They knew the big boy sat on the sideline because these are tech companies at the end of the day. So when you had the Zuckerbergs, the Elon Musk, like those guys, that the surgence of those billionaires that came about, remember they overtook the prior billionaires who were just in the financial sector. These guys didn't create tech companies. Now these guys are in positions to either buy into the company or just try to buy a really strong position,
Yeah.
right? And you can hear from the CEO of Ripple. You know how many guys offered him certain deals, and he just shoots it down because he knows what the true value of the situation is. And this is why Ripple is in that lawsuit, because they just didn't play ball correctly. So when you have these little projects, Safe Moon, and you think all these guys like have any sort of institutional investors looking at those projects that can make a dent in whether they get the okay or the pass from from the government, you can forget about it. They don't have the capital for that.
Mm-hmm.
Exit liquidity, guys. Those guys, I would say within the next 2 months, you're going to start to see those small cap projects dying off. You have to know how to read these projects to know what's in. Right now, I've been accumulating mobile coins like it's nobody's business right now. I'm looking at decentralized 5G network, Helium partnership with T-Mobile. This is where I'm putting my money. So what? It cost me $2,700. $2,700 inside of my bank account right now is worth nothing. I'm losing at a rate of 7 to 8%
Gotcha.
easily. I can't buy anything with it. So I have to purchase assets with this. And I'm not even the dollar's not even an asset. It's always been debt. It's always been a liability. So we just taking you back to 101. The reason it's hard for black and brown people to understand these concepts is because we just now getting your credit together in the last 2 years. And the only reason that most people got their credit together was to just get these loans that the
Only
government was giving during the pandemic.
or debt.
That's it. Historically, no one cared about that until you had to purchase a car. And even at that rate, we've been living in recession, right? All
Mm-hmm.
these local dealerships in these black neighborhoods charging 15 to 18%, right? Cost of money in the hood is always more. Listen, we're gonna do these every week, and they're gonna be impromptu because it's just imperative that we keep you guys up to date with the news. The little 90 seconds we have here and the 3 minutes on TikTok, it's just not enough to dig deep. So this is our offering to you. Every week you're gonna see Champ and I live, and then it's gonna be right on our YouTube page anyway, even if you can't um, join us live. But I urge you guys to just share this when it ends with your network. And listen, birds of a feather flock together. So when you lose your money, guess what? Everybody around you is gonna lose their money because none of y'all planning for this shit. None of y'all. And I never seen so many people care about cryptocurrency in my life up until the last month.
Uh huh.
And I told Champ, man, link in the bio. All my people on here that know me, right? I'm gonna tell y'all right now. This not even a warning. This is just a declaration, right? Don't hit my phone about this shit. Just click the link in the bio. Support me. If you know me and you love me and you know what I do for people, support me.
Facts. I
That's
second.
it. Become a student who just happens to have my cell phone number, right? Let's put it that way. And if it gets out of hand, I don't need this number. And when the shit pop, I already told Champ I'm offline. We building systems now to automate this situation. We have been begging you guys. $29. Listen. We raised the price to 97. So many people. Oh my God! Can you please get it back to? It's been $20.23 since January, since the top of the year,
Yep.
and $100 is too much for people. I'm gonna tell you guys that if you're in that bad of a position right now, good luck, right? Because it is. There's only going to be two classes in this world. Well, definitely in the United States. There's going to be the wealthy, and there's going to be the useless.
Mm-hmm.
Useless. Not even poor, not even middle class, just useless.
Universal basic income on the way.
That's it. You're going to be paid through the FedNow system. You're going to have you're going to have to be on a CBDC because you can't. What skill set do you have? Are you running nodes? Are you a miner? Are you invested well in the crypto space? How much gold and silver do you have? And even with gold and silver, you only get the value when you sell.
Mm-hmm.
So in a minute, they're about to put a yield market, the derivatives. There's going to be so many things tied to this cryptocurrency. You'll never have to sell your asset in order to make money.
Organization on the way.
Dividends, same thing with stocks. There's guys that make salaries on stock dividends. Don't believe me, just watch.
We told you. We told you too. Soon.
Don't believe me, just watch. Take them out, champ.
Yo, listen, man. We're gonna keep having these impromptus. We just wanted to come drop some heat on y'all. Listen, be prepared. Make sure you have all your crypto off of these exchanges. And I mean today. There is no, absolutely no, not your cheese type of. And listen, don't say we didn't tell. So if it happens, if it so happens to happen today, going into tomorrow, or tonight going into Monday, just know we stated it on this call. We stated it on Dot Connect episode 28. It's happening. It's happening now. So you guys either be prepared or just be prepared to be, to experience a loss. But don't
And
say
listen,
we.
if you don't believe it, just ask yourself this question. Look at your bank account, and I'm urging everybody, take a screenshot of your bank account now, right? Just take a screenshot. Just know what you're depositing. Because if you didn't go online today, there's no way that you know, unless you don't have no money, how much you truly have in the bank down to the cents, right? So I would urge everybody, when you get off this call right now, log on to your online banking, take a screenshot of all the money that you have in your checkings and savings. You understand? So that way you just at least have a record. So if the lights did go out, because they're gonna play crazy. They're gonna blame this on Russia, right? Um, but again, look at the math. Again, if I would go about 60% discount on your money right now. So look at your account. If you got $1 million in there, are you comfortable with $600,000 right now? And again, for a guy that has $1 million, that's not a whole lot. He doesn't have a major problem. 400,000, right? He doesn't have a major problem. He can still kind of make some moves, but it's when you start to get to those $1,000 accounts, right? Now you start to feel the pinch a little bit, right? Because now you got to pay the mortgage or the rent. They discount you. No one is expecting for their money not to be inside of a bank.
Mm-hmm.
But 3 weeks ago, and yeah, last year, everybody's like, "Yo, Steve, were you crazy? Banks closed down in America." I'm like, okay, y'all not studying history enough. Peter Schiff, that's another guy. Follow him on
God.
Instagram. Start following economists, right? Guys who have called the '08 crash, guys who called the crash of 2000, all the corrections in the market. These are the guys that I study. History always repeats itself. We've been in this position before. Have y'all realized how much chaos it is in the world when a national currency actually collapses? Y'all better go look. That shit's scary. It's absolutely scary when that happens because they don't give a fuck about the common person at the end of the day. And they showed you last week when those, or 2 weeks ago, when those bank collapse happened. What happened?
Mm-hmm.
The elite, the wealthy people got their money out. But you're
Facts.
willing to chance that at a regional bank right now? And I'm not saying to run out. I'm just telling you that if you're at a small regional bank, you may want to just take some stuff over to a bigger bank. Less people to control at the end of the day. They're going to make this system as simplified as possible because those banks that shut down last week were all crypto friendly banks that were doing things that normal banks weren't doing. So this was concocted the same way Terra Luna was concocted, the same way that every single crypto crash was concocted by Wall Street at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
These guys create these problems because they know they want the industry. They just want the infrastructure. And I told you this from the beginning. I said the institutional guys are going to buy up the infrastructure. So once you understand what the infrastructure is and the infrastructure and the projects that are going to be built that are building the infrastructure, ball game. That's the wealth transfer is in that infrastructure.
Facts.
There's no stock, there's no Google, there's no Meta, there's no Amazon, there's no stock at today's price that's going to save your life later. Period. That gamut's old. You know what I'm saying? We buying up bottom prices on infrastructure. Why? Because nobody's talking about infrastructure. These guys don't spend on Twitter. They don't pay influencers to like talk about shit. It's just smart projects, and if you know how to read it, you know how to read it. But people telling me, yo, Steve, come on, you telling me something 6 cents is going to be 10,000? I'm like, listen, I'm not telling you that, but I could show you historical data on Bitcoin when I got involved with Bitcoin. That shit was $350.
And that shit went 70K, 60K, like no 70K, 69 change.
That
That's
thing retired a lot of people, guys. And listen, that Saudi money didn't even run into it. Iran didn't come into it. South Korea, North Korea, China, they haven't even begun playing with this thing yet.
y'all better learn. Y'all better learn life.
Don't believe me? Just watch. All right, yo, listen, I appreciate y'all. Y'all stay safe out there. It's crazy because we had just as many people on Dot Connect, and we promote the hell out of that shit every week. So I'm kind of glad y'all tapped in right now. And I hate that, it's like fear is driving this whole thing right now. But you weren't fearful before. And the
Mm-hmm.
stronger the sound gets, I'm telling you, this ain't a matter of like, is there snakes in the basement? This motherfuckers thing. There's things in this basement right now, guys. You got to go down there and take inventory of your house right now. Do you own gold? Do you own silver? Do you know how to buy gold and silver? Do you know which gold and silver to buy?
Mm-hmm.
Have you studied what happened during the gold rush? Have you studied the price of gold in tough economic times? What happens to that price? I'm not bullish on gold only because there's so much gold in the world untapped,
Mm-hmm.
right? But silver, whatever we have now is pretty much what we have now. That's where
Fact.
I'm at. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be dropping this thing called the plan, right? And you guys have been seeing it. It's going to be a webinar, a 1-day situation with Champ and I. We're going to lay out the past, the present, and the future. And there's going to be products within each one of those. Infinite banking, not just crypto. We're giving you multiple plays on things that we don't even benefit from. That's just a gift,
Yep.
right? But there's not enough time for you guys to do your research. I'm gonna be honest. Most of y'all don't have the time for this. New shows dropping on Netflix, the BMF. What's the other one? Power.
Power.
Those things are back on. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I can't call a timeout on them things, huh? I better call a timeout. And then for all my people that's in, I'll send that through another message. Champ, listen, I love you dearly and appreciate you. And like I said, people around me that fuck with me will not get burned.
Facts.
Period. If you execute on things and you start to take this serious, you will not get burned. So back to the 1% situation. It is our most elite group that we have, and it's a lifetime membership. So and we'll drop some reviews that the group dropped today. Everybody in the group from the time that they took the 1%, I would say about 3 months ago, everybody's up positive. Everybody's up positive in their crypto accounts right now. And I'm not saying that we're not going to have a retrace. I'm just telling you that once you're positioned, even if they lock this out, and they will lock us out of this, guys, there's going to be a lockout period. The exchanges are going to be the banks. So regardless, if you want to be involved in crypto or you don't, you don't want the CBDC, you won't know how to sidestep it. The one thing about these white wizards is they always create a back door. Ask yourself this question: do you know the back door? Do you know where the back door is at? What'd you say? Okay. I- I'm out.
Yo, love you, bro.
Love you too.
Love
All
y'all
right,
out there. Get in that 1%. Stop playing with life. Let's get to it.
guys, share, please share this video. SkytonCryptoUniversity.com. You'll see the cryptocurrency products. Get your shit in order. And I hate to be the guy on the I told you so tour, but a little petty in me is gonna have to drop a few videos on there.
Straight up.
Just a little bit. I ain't gonna spend too much time on it.
Very, very necessary.
And the great part about the university too, guys, is you gotta understand if Champ and I um make believers out of people and this thing hits the way it's supposed to hit, guess how powerful our group is as a collective? Because this is what we talk about in the group, is what we're gonna do next as a collective. We're a hedge fund in essence, right? When everybody in the group could be a multi-millionaire. Think about the power in leveraging that to then create what's the next thing. Because there's still another run,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's the mass adoption run, and that's
That's
going to be like 5 years from now. And then there's all the projects, right, that are coming to fruition that are going to either enhance or cripple industry. So now we'll be able to know, all right, you know what? Cash App is out of here if they don't have these partnerships.
mm-hmm.
You understand? So now you can start playing shorts on the stock side, or start playing long.
Mm-hmm.
It's all partnerships happening right now, guys. Love and appreciate every single one of you, whether you hate me or not. Turo dead. Airbnb dead.
Trucking.
Dead.
Let's go.
And I'm
Let's go.
not saying it to like scare you guys. I'm just telling you, like, just take a look at what's happening. Elon Musk is dropping these trucks. Why do they need truck operators? Right? So if you're not in this for 20, 30 years, then listen, hit it and quit it. Hit it and fucking quit it.
Time to diversify. It's time.
Every single 90% of the cars on Turo are gas operated. So you tell me how you got 10 cars right now. How are you going to pay that carbon credit in the future for 10 vehicles that can't even be put on that platform because it doesn't meet the standard?
Absolutely. You taking up too much carbon. They're not letting it fly. You have no means to cover that cost. It's over. Start diversifying.
You're useless. And I'm not saying that you're useless. I'm just telling you that you're useless if you thinking you're going to stay quiet. But everybody in this call clearly was here to grab or gravitate towards a message.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping this resonates with at least one person.
Y'all smash that like button if y'all feeling this. If y'all, even if you don't like it, you just know it's something you needed to hear. Hit that like button.
And listen, test it. Go to your bank before it closes. Try to pull out $2,500 and see if they don't tell you order. Oh, we got to order it in 2 weeks.
Straight up. Straight up. Y'all
So y'all
playing
talking about crypto's a Ponzi scheme, right? This whole financial system was built on a Ponzi scheme. So stop with the nonsense, guys. Talking about crypto's a Ponzi scheme. Crypto's here to save this goddamn industry.
and disrupt the world as we know it.
Right. But all right, well, these little third party, these third world countries are figuring out how to use cryptocurrency to live right now. So maybe it'll take you to, lose everything to take this a little bit more serious. And I hope it doesn't get to that point. But if I have to guess, and I keep bringing up that pandemic situation, we were watching the world burning, and what was motherfuckers doing? Partying,
Partying, playing.
right? Not even no plan of action, no nothing. And then what happens once it comes here? Everybody's reacting. And then when everybody reacted, how long were those lines at that grocery store? And would you ever do that again? No, because you're prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
We have a plan that we're using. We're utilizing, building for our children to say, listen, they're going to do this again, and this is exactly what happened, and this is exactly what you do. Before you go to the grocery store, you go to the fucking stock market. It's going to be the same play again. They're going to tank the entire world. But only this time it's going to be a little more. They have more control because once they have your digital wallet, guys, I'm telling you, they're going to be able to cut you off for anything. And if you witness, they don't need courts to make rules, and most of you don't even know the difference between a rule and a law, and that might have went over your head. So stop listening to these guys telling you what the fuck to do or what to put in your body or uh, just stop, man. If you fuck with me, don't do that. Find a community, ask questions, share information. But what they tell us, shh, stay in the house, don't talk to anybody. It's just like, what the fuck? We are nature's being. We are supposed to be out amongst each other,
Yep.
not out here trying to fucking survive. I'm over this shit. And I'm only doing this. And this ain't like this ain't really keeping the lights on for Champ and I. I'm being honest with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? This is not a sexy product. You gotta teach people. They have to see destruction before believing.
Before believing it. Mm-hmm. But listen,
And
I
be
got.
careful because everybody's gonna be a crypto guru and teacher.
Come on.
I can see that coming within the next month or two. Everybody now is telling you, oh, the banks are closing. They're just regurgitating information that they're seeing out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Ask to see their portfolio. Ask to
Straight
see their track record. If somebody's just teaching you crypto and they don't have anything posted in the last 2 years, then they weren't even part of that cycle
at all. They jumped on the
because
on the
they
wave.
jumped on the train. That was 2 years. That was the NFT craze. That was Shiba Inu, Dogecoin, not in that order. Safe Moon. Those are those guys. Stay away from those guys.
Yep.
Those guys aren't smart. And then you know what they're going to teach you? Oh, it's the ISO projects. Just buy those. Okay. There's a lot of different ISO protocols out there, guys. It's not just the 200 situation that you keep hearing. It's not that. That's part of it. But you got to put the whole puzzle together, and this is what we do. SkytonCryptoUniversity.com. Go ahead, champ. You were saying?
Now, listen, I'm gonna leave y'all. We out of here after this. I'm gonna leave y'all with this one statistic. So this is per the World Economic Forum. So Klaus Schwab, he's the founder of the World Economic Forum, right? These are the guys we follow, the highest of the highest, right? These are the elites. These are the guys that control everything in the world. I said there's within the next 2 years. He said that 2021, right? Make C19 look like child's play in comparison, right? So I just came across a graphic. The graphic said in one single day, without the internet, just one day, that would cost our economies, not just in the United States, but globally, 50 billion US dollars. And that's before considering the economic and the societal damages that's going to be linked to this. Right? We're talking about essential services, banking. We're talking about everything that you guys use and know today. Your smartphone disabled, your banking disabled, anything that you could think of.
Ventilators, hospital. I'm talking to guys. It goes deep.
One day, one day, 50 billion US dollars. One day. You don't think shit is gonna collapse? These guys were you people was requesting their money on a Friday. They didn't have enough funds to facilitate those requests. By Monday, the banks were bankrupt. They had collapsed. They didn't have people's money. They needed a bailout. One day on a cyber attack. You don't think this shit is going to collapse? You don't think the rest of these 186 banks that's still kind of on shaky foundations right now? You don't think they're going to collapse and fall? All right. Y'all holla at us next week.
Yeah, same time, same
Same.
place.
Be at your neck. On that one, out of here. Peace.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, bro.